welcome to today's episode of Big Beautiful Badasses. I am your host, Kimberly Flesia, with you here as always. And today we have Melissa Chapman with us, who I've known forever, it feels like. And we are going to talk about what makes her such a badass. This woman is a wife and mother, a hairdresser extraordinaire. I've seen the stuff she can do, and it is amazing. And she just embodies such confidence, you guys. So I definitely wanted to bring her on and introduce y'all to her. So Melissa, thank you so much for being with me.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is quite the opportunity.
Of course, of course. So why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, I've been a hairdresser for 29 years, and I've owned my own salon now for about 4 years. And, I guess, gosh, what else do I want to say? That's not entirely my identity. I've been through 7 colleges. I have studied theology. I've studied classical piano. I recently, in the last 2 years, became certified to do rapid resolution therapy as well. I kind of consider myself to be a little bit of a professional student, but I have quite the story, I guess, behind all of that, getting to this place, because it wasn't easy. I left home at 16. I got away from, a violent alcoholic in my life, but I didn't get away from the trauma of it. And I've been working myself out of that this entire time while trying to be a mother and trying to run a business and trying to manage people, which is a lot more than what I ever expected it was going to be. And, and then just trying to figure out where I'm going along the way. And, all of this, including having ADHD, and I knew I had it, but I didn't know what it was, never treated it. And last year, my kids both got diagnosed with it. And for the first time, I started understanding why I'm the way I am. And that was extremely enlightening. And because of that, I think that, just all of these things combined, I'm off in a direction. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to make some impact in my industry and maybe some influence in the world around me. We'll see.
I think that's an amazing goal to have. And that's my goal with what I do as well, is to be able to make an impact. And I find that as a common thread, especially in a plus size influencer role. That seems to be a very common thread of wanting to make a difference. Now, part of the reason that I created this podcast is to celebrate the plus size community. Being a plus size woman in the industry that you're in, is that common, or is it more, less frequent to have plus size hairdressers? Or do you feel there's a stigma
in my years of experience, I think there's always a stigma there. I mean, if you're a woman, there's a stigma there, but we obviously know that there's differences in the one thing. I mean, like, I feel like the most accepted prejudice out there is the way people treat anyone who's plus size. And I know men get it, but as a woman, as women, we really, really battle some deep psychological issues where that stigma is concerned. And I mean, boy, I'll tell you what, I got a story about this. Do you want to jump into that saga, or where do you want to go with that?
Go for it.
Okay. So, I grew up with a lot of very misogynistic mentalities around me. And, I've been told since I was very little that I'm fat. And I got a lot of things like, you're so fat, you don't need to eat for a week. And, like, my nicknames were like Miss Piggy and my little Gordita. And like, everybody's always had something to say to me. And when I look back at my pictures when I was little, I wasn't fat, but I was constantly told this. And I mean, the mentality, what I saw being reflected in front of me very much so gave me these messages of like, if you're fat, you're ugly. If you're fat, you're worthless. if you have any kind of weight on you whatsoever, like you're just not really a woman. You're not really qualified to be acceptable. And it's like our value as women is nothing more than our appearance, you know? And I mean, I took that into my teenage years, constantly still getting these kinds of messages from family, especially, you know, not as much from my peers. But then, you know, there's been this, gosh, I was in Russia in Belarus, excuse me. Belarus is not Russia anymore. They used to be a part of the USSR, but they're no longer. I was in Belarus, and the host I was staying with even says to me, "You're such a kind person. If you could lose weight, you could get a man." You know?
I hate that. You're pretty, but or you're pretty for a big
Yeah.
girl.
Oh yeah.
No,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just pretty.
Yeah.
Ah,
I know. I know. And I mean, you know, especially from my family, I've been told, "Oh, I'm so glad that you're fat because otherwise you'd be too pretty." My mother actually said that to me. Yeah. Oh yeah. You know. And I mean, you know, I've stood on the edge of suicide on so many occasions because my ability to find any level of worth in myself beyond my appearance, you know, I can do so many things. I have sought to create worth out of myself on so many levels, but the stigma of my weight, you know, like I'll never have a person of quality in my life. I always have to take some kind of abuse or something like that. You know, it's like I'm always apologizing for my presence. But let me tell you what, I found phenomenal therapy. And this is why I became a therapist in rapid resolution therapy, or certified to do it. I'm not a certified therapist in, you know, like a clinical technician or something like that. And I can't, you know, I wouldn't claim that. I was granted the opportunity to go through this because I can fall under a different qualification as a hypnotherapist, actually. So, and it's not hypnotherapy. It is actually a memory reorganization technique that I have never experienced anything like this in my life. So um, it took me a while to go in and actually talk to them about this because it didn't come up right away. When I first went, I was dealing with deeper pains. But believe it or not, the very, very first time that I went in, I went directly to a memory that was one of the first times that I really recall taking on my family's mentality about myself and not knowing what to do about it, you know? Um, and the day I went in there with that, I told her, I said, I have this pain here, just right here. And it is always here. And in my most happy, joyous moments, I'm still aware that I hurt just a little bit right here. And so she does, you know, I call it the brain voodoo. It's way more scientific than that. But she does the work with me, and she gets my mind shifted so clearly that I haven't felt it since then. And it's been 3 years. I can tell you about the event. It's just information now. It doesn't hurt me anymore, you know? But it was really interesting to me, you know, even though I didn't go in to talk about my mentality about weight, I still had a moment where that was, you know, something that needed to be unraveled. And so I think this therapy is incredible because it is so effective. It can move traumas with as intense as break within 1 to 2 sessions. I haven't gone back for the same thing twice, but I had a lot of stuff to deal with, right? So I've been going, and all kinds of things I've tried before never moved any of these deep hurts out of me, but this did, like, immediately. So the first time I went in very deliberately to talk about this kind of stuff, actually ended up being about other people. It was about their prejudice and how it affected me. And then later on down the line, I went in and I talked about how the prejudice was now in me, because my sense of hatred over me, just the way I look, you know, it was just, it's debilitating. And, you know, I sat down with her and I looked at her and I said, I am so sick of my body being responsible for everyone else's aesthetic pleasure. Fuck them. And then when we were done, I sat back and I said, you know what? My body has one job, and that is to be the home for the I that is me within it. And that's it. And you know, I mean, this stuff is like, it goes deep. It goes so deep because we get it from the misogyny. There's like, we have systemic racism, we have systemic misogyny too, in a big way. And you know, then we also have, the prejudices that we encounter constantly through media and through, like our experiences with, trying to have relationships, and it's very easy to scapegoat the body for those reasons, And I mean, like, I would even apply that to my success even in business. Like right now, if we were on the cutting edge of whatever issue I'm dealing with right now, it is that I know it is time for me to start actually being on camera. And I'm like terrified to do it because people are so cruel. And I'm like, so that's why I say this is such a huge opportunity for me, because I kind of like, all right, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get on camera. I'm going to do it.
I'm so proud of you for taking that step. First off, that's
Well,
huge. I totally get it with what I told you earlier that I'm doing tonight. I do understand. I'm feeling it right now. And let's kind of go into that. Now, I don't know. Are you on TikTok?
Yes.
Okay. So have you seen the videos now that are coming out? And I made one of women that are showing their bodies and, unapologetically embracing that. Does that stir anything in you?
It does. Actually, it was one of the things that I brought up and spoke with my therapist about. And I was struggling a little bit at first because I'm watching this and I want to take it in. But, I went in dealing heavily with my own mentality about it. Okay. So I was stuck. I was hitting that wall. And my reactivity to it was almost to feel shame. And because I'm like, because I just can't, I don't know how to think that way. I don't know how to be happy with, I've learned how to be happy with parts of me, but then there's parts of yourself, you just, I can just change that, So I talked with her about the body positivity movement. And I think that the body positivity movement needs to be here. I absolutely think that it is valuable. And I love that we're using our voices and we're getting out there and we're talking about that. What she said to me was that what happens when we focus on body positivity, we have to acknowledge that there's also body negativity. And there's kind of like a sick sort of cycle in that, because, then you're always still stuck in comparing back and forth. She goes, what if we just talked about what the body can do? And so we started talking about what the body can do. Well, my body has taken me across country. It's taken me through being homeless. It's taken me through extreme abuse. It's taken me through, like, what else? It's taken me through childbirth, taking me through, numerous relationships. It's taken me up and down mountains. It's taken me across seas. My size had nothing to do with any of that, did it? I look at the things that we can, I've been in, my body's taken me through karate because I wanted to, taking me into all, just like all kinds of different things. Heck, my body took me down massive, gigantic water slides 2 weeks ago. My big old gigantic body took me there. And you know what? I didn't care about how big I was the entire time I was there. I was just having fun. And and who cares? Who cares? We all come in these different shapes and sizes, but we're still attracted to each other,
100%. And I'll be honest, for me, it's not as much body positivity as it is body acceptance.
Yes.
Because when it comes down to it, and this is something that it took me a long time to get to this place.
Yeah.
I spent 36 years hating myself, hating the body I was in.
Yeah.
And I did a project in rehab where I had to write a love letter to myself. And I've actually turned it into a workbook now on my website. But one of the things that I had to do was point out parts of my body that I loved. And
Mhm.
that is when it really dawned on me that I don't love every part of my body.
Mhm.
So then it became okay, so I don't like this part, but what can it do for me?
Right.
And the
Mhm.
running joke through my workshop that I did was my double chin. I hate my chin, hate it with a passion. But if I am sitting in the armchair watching a movie with my husband and I fall asleep,
Mhm.
I have a great little pillow. It serves a purpose. Therefore, it is a valid part.
Mhm.
And that's when it became more about body acceptance
Mhm.
because you're accepting even those parts that you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I do see that as being kind of, being the result of the body positivity movement. And like I said, I'm not going to pick on vernacular or anything like that. I think that there really is a good example there of kind of how we get stuck in these dichotomies a little bit. Like one of the things that really sort of caused me to sort of think bigger, look for other answers, was like the idea that it's not about being right or wrong, it's about being loved. We don't really most of us don't make decisions based on whether or not they're right or wrong. We make those decisions based off of, I love this, or I'm surviving this, or I'm angry right now, or I need a situation, whatever's best for us in the moment. And we've been taught to reject ourselves so much. Like, yeah, we like, what is acceptance anymore? It's sometimes hard to even think of what it would be like to just accept this. But then I go, when I am thinking of it in a different sort of way, how would I put this? I would actually put it like this. I have a body, but I'm not this body. And if you were to come to me right now and you were missing an arm, I wouldn't go, Kim, I need you to go and get the rest of you because I need you to be whole while you're with me. You know what I'm saying? I get that you're all there because you're so much more than that body. And I'm so much more than this body. And my fear of expressing myself past this is just because of people, my experience of people relating only with my skin and not with who I am. And it really caused me to step back and go, I think this might just be something that is going to be somewhat of a measuring stick for relationship. Because if someone is literally going to only relate to me based on my skin, you are not worth my time. You know
Please
what
say
I'm
that
saying?
louder for the people in the back.
Right? You know,
Oh my God,
if
yes.
you because if you know me, if you just took the time to hang out and know me, I'm one of the best friends you might ever have. But if my worth is only what's going on here with my skin, I wonder how much you are worth to me then. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to do this anymore. And coming out of the just place I was in mentally growing up, and just always feeling so terrible about myself, I just took it. I always took it. I didn't know I didn't have to, and so finding this therapy and being able to really work these things out has finally come to the place where I'm like, I see situations now and I just don't have to do this anymore. Because the reality of it is the way people treat us, they, as women, especially based on just our appearance, is so extraordinarily abusive. It's so extraordinarily sick. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to think of myself as being the perverted one for wanting to have sexual experiences, but I'm fat and I'm ugly and I shouldn't because that's gross. But I came to realize finally the perversion is in this thought process that doesn't even exist. It's smoke in the air. It's not even real. You know, that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. We are all being objectified and abused by something that doesn't even exist. Ain't that something?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Everybody, I mean, everybody has a right to say, I'm not attracted to one thing or another. We're attracted to what we're attracted to. But does that mean that everybody that doesn't qualify is suddenly unworthy? because you don't look good enough or whatever else. I mean, like, just that means you don't know me. That's all that means.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I guess that's kind of, that's where I'm getting to. But I mean, like I said, I'm not without my insecurities still. I'm afraid to get out there in front of the public because people are cruel and I'm mean. And I guess, and it makes me want to fight. And that really, really, and I have a really hard time, and I'm going to spend a lot of money on therapy having to deal with it.
Well, maybe we need to have you come on more often and get you used to being in front of a camera. And we can talk about
it.
Sure.
Well, the story is not over.
That's right. Well, I do have one more question for you before we end our show.
Sure.
Knowing what you know now, being in the place that you are in now, if you could go back to that little girl who was being called my little gordita, what would you tell her?
Man, I've thought about this before. And I've really struggled to find something to tell her because I can tell you how hard I haven't believed it in so long, And I think I would tell her, keep finding another opinion until it's your own. Just keep finding another opinion. Just because they're important to you doesn't mean that they're right.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, Melissa,
keep looking for another way to think about it.
I'm so grateful that you came on the show today. I'm so thankful.
I'm grateful for being here.
I have thoroughly enjoyed having you on the show, being able to laugh with you. Feel like it's been, forever since we talked anyways.
It has been.
It's been so nice to reconnect with you. And we need to plan a time to go for coffee or something.
Yeah.
I would love that.
That's it.
So that is all I have for you guys today. I am going to be back live on the Rope of Hope here in about 30 minutes. Yeah, 30 minutes exactly. So definitely you're going to want to tune into the Rope of Hope. I have an amazing guest coming on to share her story. And again, I will probably ugly cry during her story like I do every episode. I know there are people that tune in just to see the ugly cry. But you guys definitely tune in when I have Dana on the Rope of Hope. Otherwise, I will see you next week here with another badass female. Love you guys.